And it really has been, we knew when we took this on, the only way this would happen was for the community to catch the same sort of crazy fever that Mark Roosevelt and Luke Ravenstahl had displayed when they stood up back in December of 2006 and said, this is an idea that we have to take on. And that Jeff Romoff and UPMC showed a year later when they said, this is something we're going to put our weight behind. It would require a huge cross-section of the rest of the community to meet that extraordinary challenge. So we knew that the bulk of the work in the first year would have to come from foundations because this program is so new, because so much infrastructure had to be put in place in terms of a broad fundraising strategy. So $13 million of this has come from the foundation community, but I would point out 17 discrete foundations, and that's not counting the donor-advised funds from the Pittsburgh Foundation. This speaks to the extraordinary legacy that Pittsburgh has from the foundation community and the leadership that the foundation community here consistently displays. And in my career beforehand, I came from the perspective where we were always the funder. To be now in the position of being the recipient of this incredible largesse, I can tell you, as many of you in this room know, this is something special about our community, and we should give thanks for this every day. We also knew as we entered this process that the corporate campaign would be getting up only towards the end of the year. We knew that this was going to be something that we would not be able to have up and running in full form at the beginning of that fundraising year. But I am very pleased to say that, as you can tell from this chart, we have a significant number of corporations who are already participating. The corporate campaign is, without a question, what brought us home to reach our goal. And as we look to the future in the coming years, we know that Pittsburgh's corporate community is stepping up to fulfill the promise. And again, that's something that we can be tremendously grateful for as we look at our community. The numbers at the top, both of these corporations are incredibly modest about the gifts that they've made. So I'm not going to mention their names, but you can read their names. And I just want to say that the commitment that they've made is an extraordinary vote about the future of Pittsburgh. And I mean by that, not just Pittsburgh the city, but Pittsburgh the region, because they get the essence of this story, which is that if we help our kids in the city, we will give people a reason to live in the city. And if we give people a reason to live in the city, we are going to help our whole region prosper. We all benefit by recognizing how important these kids are to our collective future. So I want to thank them for that extraordinary gift. We also knew that the individual campaign would not be up and running except towards the end of the year. We're now beginning to get that going. But we've already had 500 individuals contribute to the Pittsburgh Promise, and that's an extraordinary beginning for this campaign. We're really hopeful about how Pittsburghers in general will step up. And this includes, by the way, a class from, these are gifts ranging from $1 to $10,000, and it includes a gift from one single Leadership Pittsburgh class that decided to issue a challenge to its members, and they pulled together $10,000. It includes gifts from individuals and classrooms and folks who just said, gee, I want to see how others would step up if I step up. And so slowly we're seeing this campaign begin to take off. And we see that as having great potential. And again, Luke Ravenstahl held a summer picnic that raised $11,000 towards the goal. So again, this incredible combination of foundations, corporations, individuals has brought us to the point where we can proudly say that despite that incredible time of economic hardship, Pittsburgh, our collective community, is fulfilling its promise. We are demonstrating a commitment to community that I think the rest of the country would envy. I just want to conclude with this portion of our presentation with a couple of notes of thanks, because it's very important that we acknowledge how this happened. most of the people in this room actually contributed in one way, shape, or form to these numbers. So by being here, you're, I hope, also sharing in the accolades and sharing in the glow, because you have contributed to making this possible. From our very first gift, which was a gift from, well, actually, our very first gift was from the Teachers Union, which was an extraordinary gift early on before the campaign had gotten going. But our very first gift in the organized campaign from the Massey Foundation, and they dove in with $1 million right off the bat and said, here you go, you're off and running, which was extraordinary. The Pittsburgh Foundation's donors, we decided in this, it is not typical for community foundations around the country to take on an initiative and then turn to their donors and say, we'd really like you to help in this process. And collectively, we reinvented the paradigm for how community foundations work in a community. Our donors contributed nearly $800,000 to this total. And our staff and board at the Pittsburgh Foundation, I am so proud to be able to work with this team, to be able to work with these incredible people. They spent more hours than I care to remind them of, actually, talking to folks, helping to raise money for this, working on the program at its inception to get it up and running. And I would really like us to thank that team in particular. If you would share that with me for a moment. Thank you. The part of this that will not get in the evening news is where I actually thank the media. But something incredible happened a few months ago, and I don't know if, well, most people saw it, or it was almost unavoidable. You couldn't avoid it. But our media outlets in Pittsburgh came together to jointly air a program about the Pittsburgh Promise that they also produced themselves. They decided how to shape it. They ran it collectively at the same time on the 4 major affiliate stations. The newspapers kicked in ad space. We received contributions in terms of ad space from Lamar Advertising and billboards, some radio time. Collectively, we think that represented a number that's not on here of about an additional $1.5 million. That's not something you see in every community. So. And finally, I want to thank the people who I think, helped us get to this goal and made the difference between May 31 and June 31. And when the story of this gets written, I think part of the story that has to be written is about the extraordinary leadership displayed by 3 men. And that was Salim, Mark Roosevelt, and Franco Harris. We had a moment in May where we honestly thought, we're not going to make it. We can hold our heads high, we can be proud of what we did, but we're not going to make it. And on every good team, there are those people who, when they hear that, something happens to them, something bad, but something really amazing, and it's like their blood boils, and they say, there is no way we are not making this goal. And I can tell you, it was that spirit that drove us across this particular finish line, which is not a finish line at all, but is a wonderful beginning to a program that I think we're already beginning to see is making a difference in the lives of people in our community and children in our community. And I cannot be more excited about what the coming years will bring. So thank you very much for the role you played in making this possible.